It all began really about a year ago. I had a series of conversations with developers, suppliers, telcos, all expressing their frustration around the lack of a vibrant developer community building stuff with communications. So what we did is we got a whole range of developers, telcos, vendors together in Bangkok in November. And we had an event called TAD Summit. And that just got the whole ecosystem together and just discussed a whole range of issues around how do we build this ecosystem. And we also created what was called the TAD Manifesto, the Telecom Application Developer Manifesto. So that got signed off at the event around what each of the ecosystem members expect and need to make this ecosystem work. One of the things that came out of that is, look, we need a hackathon focused purely on telecom app development. So that idea basically got realized just over 6 months later here at TadHack, where it's a global event. So it's not just here in Madrid. We have Sri Lanka, we have Pune, we have Malaysia, we have Philippines, Chicago, and remote developers from around the world. Already, we've barely got the event started, and we've got 9 remote hacks already up on the YouTube channel from all around the world. Mexico, US, even Spain here, where we're running the event. It shows the excitement, the energy around that. So what we're trying to do is, with TadHack, create a focus. We'll have the YouTube channel, and we're going to also have the website that we're going to continuously update with deep dives into what telecom application developers are doing, and hopefully track their progress from creating these really cool ideas to getting it out to market and having lots of happy users and customers, and hopefully making lots of money. So that's really, the history and what we're trying to do with TadHack. With the ecosystem around telecom app development, there's three parties. There's the telcos that provide direct access to 6 billion people on the planet. Let's face it, with SMS, voice, you can reach almost anybody. Can't necessarily with internet access. It's going to take a couple more decades before we get there. There's the technology providers, the sponsors of this event, and they range from small companies like SolarMaze, Tropo, Nexmo, all growing very quickly but relatively small. Also big companies like Google, so Google's one of the sponsors. We have Oracle, we have Huawei, so we have the full spectrum. So the vendors that are providing the core technology to make this happen. And then when we say developer, let's face it, it's like saying a person. There are so many different types. You've got a hardcore of developers that really understand telecoms inside out, and they're represented here. We then have a range of more general web developers, so they're programmers, but they're very much, it's like, this is interesting, I can see how I can use this. It could be in an enterprise application, could be consumer, could be just solving a problem that they face every day. And then there's a broader category, and a lot of us fall into it, which is basically cut and paste programmers. It's web developers. We have web pages, we have a blog, and guess what? We can put HTML code in there. That makes us programmers. And we're really trying to help each of these sectors basically use communication capabilities in any problem they're trying to face, and also to share best practices, to share understandings. So we create a community of developers that can help each other, but also with the technology providers and with the telcos, we give them options on how they get to market. Some is just direct to enterprise, potentially using the technology providers. Some could be direct to consumer, using the telcos. So it's really trying to create a group through nothing more than just having the resources available so people can discover all these really cool ideas, services, and developers. Because you could be a business and you're thinking about adding, for example, SMS alerting. And then you go to the TadHack channel and you see in Spain a couple of developers who created a cool app. You can contact them, and guess what? You've now got a developer that you can use to help you basically improve your business. So that's really what we're trying to do. Nothing more complex than that. It varies. I think at the early stages, it's the developer discovering. But in the later stages, where it's really well understood, it's then a business requirement feeding in. Now, here at TadHack, we have actually quite a few people who work within the CIO of large enterprises, and they're trying to learn what's all this buzz about WebRTC, about SMS and voice. So they're now, from the CIO perspective, learning and discovering. And most of them aren't developers. They're more basically looking at it from a business requirements perspective. So the key is it's capturing all this diversity of people that, yes, early stage it's maybe more hardcore developers, but then in later stages it's more business people. And then again, understanding the capabilities and applying it to solve business problems. Benefits come from two things. I mean, we have the byline for TADHack, which is learn, share, code, create. So it is learning. So a lot of what we have here is learning, it's education, it's sharing, it's networking, it's meeting with experts. We've had world experts here, world leaders here. This morning we had Mark Shuttleworth, founder of Ubuntu, a serial technology entrepreneur, coming and sharing his vision for basically the importance of telecom app development. Then we had James Tagg, who is really revolutionizing the telco industry. Again, the founder of Truephone. So we've had leaders sharing their insights, and then we've got the leading technology providers educating, helping developers understand how easy and how powerful communications can be. And after basically learning and sharing, it's about coding. So it's going in and actually just trialing it. And some of it is a matter of just cutting and pasting, and now you've got a click to call button. It's so easy. And then creating. And the creation is, once you understand how easy it is and the capabilities, then you start thinking about everyday problems and how this can solve those everyday problems. And it isn't somebody that's in the detail of telco or in communications or these technology platforms. It's somebody in everyday life who just connects two dots and then is able to create the next Angry Birds, the next Airbnb, the next WhatsApp. And it really is, on the outside looking in, is where, for a developer, there's the most opportunity. It's very much, it's a group effort. TAD Summit, TADHack came about from the grassroots up. So it's basically, it wouldn't have been realized if it wasn't for all these sponsors making it happen. So we'll have in November, on the 12th and 13th, an event that's more commercial. This is techie, this is basically creation. We'll have one that's focused around the go-to-market and the commercialization of all the cool services that we create here, and more broadly as well. So that'll be more focused on the telcos and the technology providers, with developers involved as well, but not to the numbers. So think of TADHack as more developer focused, and then TAD Summit as being more telco focused. So looking to the future with TADHack 2015. With TADHack this year, it was very much a hub and satellites, because we thought we'd just start with Madrid, but it grew and it grew and grew into a global event. What we're thinking with 2015 is we have a number of centers all around the world. So we do keynotes in Sri Lanka, we do keynotes in Madrid, we do keynotes in the US, we do keynotes in Singapore, in Philippines. So it becomes far more of realizing the global potential of bringing all these developers together. So where it goes beyond that, it's a grassroots initiative. So it's all the sponsors, all the people involved. Where do they want to drive this? Because the bottom line is we want to create a community, an ecosystem around telecom application development, pure and simple.